Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a video where I just talk about some books that are a little bit more of hidden gems. These are books that I haven't heard people talk much about at all, or I just haven't heard talked about lately, like in the last several years. So I've got a couple on this list that are probably a little bit more popular, but they were popular like 4 years ago. So I would consider them now a hidden gem because of the fact that nobody talks about it anymore. So maybe this video can help kind of bring them back a little bit. This first one is one that I've recently read, but I don't hear anybody talking about. So I'm going to bring it up in case you didn't watch my other videos, but maybe you watched this one. And that one is Silver Elite. This one was a great time. I don't even know how I found this book because I don't know anyone that's read it. I can't even tell you a single YouTuber that I've watched that's read it. So definitely a hidden gem because nobody's really talking about it, and book 2 is getting ready to come out. So I have no idea. But Silver Elite, we are following this girl Ren, and she is what they call modified, which means that she has these like psychic abilities. And when they have psychic abilities, it means anything from like telepathy to I can make you like do things like compulsion to I can mind read, like those kinds of things. So we're following Ren, and she can do like all of the things. And in her world, she is feared. Like her types of people are feared by the general public and the government and things like that. And nobody knows that Ren is a modified outside of like her very close knit friends and her uncle. Like those are the only people that know it all because you can't tell people. You tell people you're going to be dead or you're going to be put in some sort of like concentration camp. So she's not told very many people. She has a couple of friends that know and her uncle, and that's it. And so they try really hard to stay out of the public's eye. They don't bring a lot of attention to themselves. Well, she messed up and she brought a lot of attention to her and her uncle, and then things kind of hit the fan and she ended up in a military boot camp essentially. And they're like, you're going to stay here. You're going to prove to us that you're loyal to us. And we're going to keep our eye on you because we're not sure that we can trust you. And we're not sure that you're not modified. And she doesn't want to be there. She hates being there, especially because like their whole goal is to find people like her and get rid of them. And she has to go on missions and she has to like learn how to block out people who are trying to mind read her. And in order to do that, she has to let people into her mind, and she has to block out specific memories so that they can't see that she is a modified. All she hears every day is how much people hate the modifieds and how scared they are of the modifieds. So things like that. Something with the modifieds is that their like veins like run silver, or like you can see silver in their veins when they're using their powers. And so you have to be very careful of when you use your powers. And a lot of people don't know that just because you're modified doesn't necessarily mean that your veins will show silver, and Ren's don't. And so it's a lot easier for her to hide in plain sight. In your typical story like this, we've got a lot of political stuff happening outside of just like our world, because we have, a rebellion happening. We have the government that's a bit corrupt and things like that. We also have her falling in love with her commanding officer, who is the general's son. So like that adds another layer of like, can't let anybody know. And I had the best time with this. I had several twists in it that I didn't see coming, and I really love the character dynamics, and you can feel like the grittiness of the story as soon as you start, and highly recommend this one. This next one is a bit of a throwback. It is Where the Crawdads Sing. This one I think I read maybe 2021, maybe, I have no idea. This one I wasn't gonna read. My grandmother brought me the book, so I ended up reading it, and I actually had a great time. I really loved this. We're following this girl, Kaya, and we're following her from the time she's like little, like barely making memories. And she watches as all of her family just leave her, like one by one. They just abandon her and leave her with her dad, who's abusive and like non-present. I think he even leaves or dies or something. I don't know. She ends up being alone in this marsh by herself for years. She has no friends. She doesn't go to school. They try to make her go to school, but she just like avoids them and doesn't go to school. So she is completely alone for years and years. And she survives because she is just that smart. And she ends up making a couple of friends, but the whole town just like really is weirded out by her and they don't really like her because she's like the weird marsh girl and she's just like so isolated and she's not like them, you know? Well, we're getting two separate timelines where we're getting like the present day timeline where she's a bit older and we are following her and these detectives as they try to figure out what happened to this dude who like mysteriously died, and they're thinking that Kaya is connected to him, and so they're like investigating. And we're also getting the timeline of when she's little and she's like growing up and she's like meeting this dude that is now dead in the present day and meeting this other dude and kind of meeting some people and kind of see how the stories like intertwine. And let me tell you, this one was so heartfelt. Like it pulls on your heartstrings because you feel so much for this child who is by herself. Like, could you imagine being 8, 9 years old and completely alone and having to figure out how to survive on your own? Like, just to figure out how to barter and what she can get to barter with. Like, it's wild. And I really enjoyed the story. I think that it really deserved a lot of the hype that it got when it first came out. And so if you haven't heard of this one, since it's kind of like died in the last couple of years, I would definitely recommend it. The next one on this list is a Frederick Bachman that I don't think many people would read because it may not apply to them. So the book is called Things That My Son Needs to Know About the World. And I read this one, and I don't even have kids. I don't want kids. But I read this and it was so much fun. Like his humor and his like life lessons and things that he's like trying to pass on. So much fun. It was so funny. Like I love his writing. He brings that dynamic of like you don't know exactly where he's going at the start of his sentence or his paragraph, and then he kind of like goes a different direction towards the end of it, and you're just like, ah, that makes sense. That was so much better than what I was anticipating you were gonna say. For example, he said that he is smarter than his wife, which at first you're like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm smarter than my wife. She is the smartest person I've ever met in my life. And yet somehow I got her to fall for me. And you're just like, oh, that's so like, and so it's things like that. And he talks about like burying a dead body. He's like, a a good friend will help you move, but a great friend will help you bury a dead body. Or like move a dead body or something, like something along those lines. And I'm just like, that's probably true. Like it's his humor and his way of words. I just absolutely love him. And so if you've read anything by him, but you haven't read this one because you're just like, I don't have a son, I don't have a kid, I don't care, you might actually enjoy this one because his writing style is just fantastic. This next one is a young adult novel that might have been popular when it came out. I have no idea when it came out. I just happened to run across it. I don't even remember how. And I've not really heard anyone else listen to it or read it. I think maybe one YouTuber that I have heard of has like actually read it. And I think that may be where I got it. But like no one else is talking about it. So who knows how popular this one got? Who knows anything? So it's on this list just in case because I had a great time with this story. This one is Monday's Not Coming. We're following this girl, Claudia, and she is, I don't know, like middle school, early high school. Like she's fairly young. And her friend Monday is just missing, just gone. And she's trying to figure out what happened, where is she at, and no one is giving her any kind of straight answer. Like she's gone to the girl's mom. The girl's mom is like blowing her off, not really worried about it. The teachers don't really seem worried about it. Claudia's own family doesn't really seem worried about it. And so Claudia is like freaking out. She's like, how in the world does my only friend in the entire world disappear? And I'm the only one that notices, or the only one that cares, you know? So not only are we dealing with the fact that one, this teenage girl is missing, but also Claudia's only friend is missing. And so now she's having to face life on her own without any help, without any support, just having to try and figure out where her friend is without any help, any support. Like, that's a lot on a kid. And this story is just heartbreaking. And it explores what happens when kids fall through the cracks and when we're not paying attention, and the impact that our society and school and all those things can like have on us. And it's just fantastic. I think it's written by Tiffany D. Jackson, and she just does a really good job. I don't know if her other works are the same way, but this one was absolutely heartfelt, and it got me feeling stuff. I'm not gonna lie, like, who would have known that me in my, I think I was probably like late 20s, listening to a story about a middle schooler would make me feel so much, but it absolutely did. I love a book that's going to make me feel stuff. Like, absolutely love it. And this is definitely one of those. So if you like to torture yourself with emotional stories, then definitely check this one out. Speaking of emotional stories, these next two are incredibly emotional, and they might have been pretty popular when they came out when I was in like high school, but I definitely don't hear people talk about them now. And both of them are by Jodi Picoult. That is Change of Heart and Handle with Care. This first one is Change of Heart, and let me read you like these last two lines of the description. Would you give up your vengeance against someone you hate if it meant saving someone you love? Would you want your dreams to come true if it meant granting your enemy's dying wish? Like, I love Jodi Picoult because of the fact that she explores these really hard topics and these like hard decisions. And in Change of Heart, it's such a hard decision. Like, I haven't read this book since high school and I need to reread it, but I can't find an audiobook, and so it's going to take me forever to read it. This book, the ending got me. I was so blown away by what happened in this story. Like, it has stayed with me probably 15 years. Like, that's how much this book like got to me. But so we're following which you tend to follow like lots of different perspectives. So the main one is June. June is a mother, and she gets some news about her child. Her child is going to have some sort of like illness, like she needs some sort of transplant, right? There's this guy, Shay, who is in jail for harming June's child. Shay has an opportunity to offer the transplant for the child in order for the child to live. How, as a parent, do you make that choice of, do I let them help me or do I not let them help me? Do I save someone I love or do I not take them for their help? Do I not take this evil person in my life for their help? Like, what choice do you make? And I don't remember any other details about this story, okay? That is all that I remember. And I don't even fully remember if all of that's correct. I just know that it's some sort of choice that he can grant her. I could be wrong in the details of it. I just remember the impact this story had on me, and this story impacted me. And I like desperately need to reread it. I may see if I can find it on Audible, because I haven't checked Audible. So I need to reread this because this got me. And if you want a book that's going to get you, read some Jodi Picoult. Jodi Picoult will get you, I promise. She's got so many books. I honestly could have put like a ton on here, but I feel like these two are a little less popular, which is crazy because Handle with Care is like one of my favorites by her. But Change of Heart is definitely one that I don't hear anybody ever talking about. Like, I didn't even hear people talking about it 15 years ago when I read it. I just found it at the library. But man, if you want something to like get you, read this one. Or read Handle with Care. Handle with Care, we're following a family, and the family is your typical family, minus the fact that the youngest daughter, Willow, has some sort of genetic disorder where her bones are super brittle. It's like osteoporosis, but it's like on steroids. Like she could sneeze and absolutely break a hip or a rib. She falls and like her whole body like shatters. Like she breaks all the time. And because of that, she's also like really short in stature. She looks a lot younger than she is. She's probably like 7 or 8. She looks like she's 5, right? The family is having a really hard time with like medical expenses and things like that because they're just broke. Because I mean, it costs a lot to go back and forth to the doctor. And ends up happening where they go to like Florida for vacation, and they're supposed to have this letter in case something happens that they can take to a doctor and be like, hey, she breaks all the time. My doctor says so. We're not abusing our child, right? They forgot the letter, and Willow gets hurt when they go on vacation. They end up at a doctor. The doctor is like, why does she have so many broken bones? Like her whole body's broken. And they're like, we promise she has this disorder. And he's like, the disorder is incredibly rare. And they can't get a hold of their actual doctor, so social services gets involved and all these things. And like the family is just like torn apart and they're exhausted. They're so tired of all of these things happening. The mother decides that she's going to sue the doctor who did like their OBGYN doctor for not noticing that Willow was going to be disabled in utero. And so they're going to sue the doctor for not catching it early enough so that mom could have aborted. Well, that's tough enough. But then we also have the added layer that the doctor that did the OBGYN stuff is the family's best friend. And that family, the doctor's family, has a child that is Willow's sister Amelia. They're the same age. So this shatters their friendship. This shatters the mom and her best friend's friendship. And you also have Willow, who is old enough to understand that mom is saying she would have aborted me if she had known. Like, mom doesn't love me type of thing. And so you have all of these layers, and it's so emotional, and it's so good. If you've not read anything by Jodi Picoult, read one of these two. Like, one of them, because Jodi Picoult does a really good job of exploring both sides of everything, and you can see it from all the perspectives of why people would make certain choices. Like, if you love exploring character motivations, Jodi Picoult is the author for you because you really understand character motivations. Like, you understand why they make all the choices they make. You may not agree with their choices, but you see how they got there. And Jodi Picoult does a fantastic job. And then the last one on this list is a classic that I have loved. It's probably the only classic that I've actually read, finished, and loved. And I don't hear anybody talking about it. Everyone wants to talk about Pride and Prejudice, or I don't even know. They want to talk about all kinds of other stuff, but they never want to talk about this one. Okay? This one is Catch 22. I love Catch 22. Catch 22 is hilariously perfect. Like, I cracked up the whole way through, and I think that that's why it kept me entertained. It's like I couldn't tell you like the actual story, but I can tell you the sarcastic comments. Loved it. It's so funny. So we're following this dude, Yossarian, and he is a bomber. He drives these planes and drops bombs, right? Well, he hates the fact that he is at war because he is so mad because all these people are trying to kill him, and he's like, I want to go home. And so anytime he tries to like go tell the doctors like, hey, I'm not sane enough to fly these planes. And the doctor's like, actually, the fact that you're concerned about your safety actually shows that you are sane. So you're good to fly the planes. And he's like, how am I supposed to get out of this? And he keeps getting mad because he's supposed to fly a set number. Well, he'll get close to that number and then they'll up it. And they just keep upping it. And so he keeps having to fly and fly, so he can never like leave the military. And he's so mad about it. And it's so funny the whole way through. Like, if you like sarcastic humor, this is probably the story for you. Like, for example, okay, we have Syrian and these dudes are just kind of hanging out talking, and the one dude is like, they're trying to kill me, and they're like, they're not trying to kill you, and he's like, yeah, they are. They're shooting at me, and he's like, they're shooting at everybody, and he's like, they're trying to kill me. That's exactly my point. Well, you're at war. That's kind of what everyone does. And they're like, it's not personal. And so it's just funny the way that the author like writes this and like the character dynamics. It's so funny. Like, I just cracked up the whole way through. I couldn't tell you all of the plot points. I do know that there is some like twists and like deception happening throughout, but like that part I couldn't keep up with as well as I could keep up with like the sarcasm in the moment. And I think that that's why this classic worked for me where the other classics don't. Is because I don't understand all of your like language and like the floweriness. They use all these gigantic words. I mean, y'all heard me talk. I screw up gigantic words all the time. I just get so lost in the narrative. But with this, I could stay entertained because every couple of pages we have some sort of like sarcastic comment or them like messing with each other, So it's just so funny. And if you have a hard time reading classics because you get lost in the narrative, but you like sarcasm, then Catch 22 might be the one for you. It is the only one that I've been able to actually like get through, and I loved it. Like, there were several parts where I had to like rewind and like re-listen to it because it was just so funny. So I absolutely loved it. So those are some books that I haven't heard talked about at all or in a long time. Maybe some of these are new to your radar. Any of these sound interesting to you? Do you have any hidden gems or books that you loved 10, 15 years ago that don't get talked about anymore? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.